The honorary degree will now be conferred. Mr. President, will you present the honorary degree candidate, Dr. Martha Piper?
Mr. Chancellor, Martha Piper's remarkable understanding of the role of research universities in the modern world, her inspirational leadership in a number of Canada's leading universities, and her peerless advocacy for the collective interests of universities in this country have placed her in the front rank nationally and internationally amongst leaders in higher education. After completing her PhD at McGill, she assumed the post of Director of the School of Physical and Occupational Therapy at that institution. In 1985, she joined the University of Alberta as Dean of the Faculty of Rehabilitation Medicine and later became Vice President, Research and External Affairs. Throughout these years, she conducted her own very important investigations into the early detection of mental and physical disability in children. Her reputation as an outstanding researcher and an astute administrator soon led to appointments to the National Advisory Board on Science and Technology and to the Board of the Advisory Council on Science and Technology. In 1997, she became President and Vice Chancellor of the University of British Columbia, and this province has been the grateful beneficiary of her vision ever since. Her belief in the vital economic and social benefits that accrue from research, and her conviction that knowledge can thrive only in a civil society inspired not only the entire university world, but also the broader community we serve. Her compelling leadership succeeded in establishing UBC as an international leader in education and research, forged strategic relationships to enhance the university, attracted unprecedented levels of federal and provincial research funding, and established new records in private philanthropic support. Martha Piper's encompassing vision extended well beyond local and regional boundaries and helped to create a national agenda for innovation. She was a catalyst in establishing the Canada Foundation for Innovation and the Canada Research Chairs Program. She served also as a board member for numerous organizations, including the Alberta Research Council, the Association of Universities and Colleges of Canada, and the Canada Millennium Scholarship Foundation. In 2005, she was appointed a public governor of the board of the Canadian Academies of Science. And that same year, the Globe and Mail recognized her as one of 5 Canadian nation builders. Several universities have recognized Martha Piper's significant and lasting achievement with honorary degrees. She is an officer of the Order of Canada and a recipient of the Order of British Columbia. Mr. Chancellor, today this university is pleased to recognize an outstanding colleague, and on behalf of the Senate of the university, I ask that you now confer upon Martha Piper the degree Doctor of Laws, honoris causa.
Martha Piper, by virtue of the authority vested in me and in the Senate of this university, I hereby admit you to the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa. Dr. Piper will be hooded by Dr. John Driver, Vice President, Academics, and Ms. Kate Roth, Registrar.
It is with pleasure that I now call on Dr. Martha Piper for her convocation address. Dr. Piper.
Thank you very much. Eminent Chancellor, Mr. President, honored guests, graduates, family, and friends, thank you. Thank you so very much for this honor. I would like to thank the Senate for the incredible honor that you bestow upon me today. I am especially pleased to be standing among you, members of the class of 2008, as we receive our degrees. And if you doubt that, let me tell you about my mother. My mother is 92, still intellectually engaged, still taking university courses that are offered at the seniors' residence where she lives. She graduated from the University of Michigan in 1938, so she has known the value of an education for a very long time. But for the past decade or so, she has been just a little uncertain about what her daughter has been up to. She asked me once, just after I was appointed president at UBC, "What do you do?" It was always a difficult question to answer. As president, it was always hard for me to offer a succinct, self-assured, and compelling response to my mother's question about the importance of my work. But I can tell you this. When I talked with her last week and shared with her the fact I was coming here today, when I told her about receiving this degree, I knew she was proud. I knew that she recognized, as every parent today at this ceremony recognizes, that whatever I've been up to for the last little while, an outstanding university in this country has judged it to be worthy. So this is assuredly an honor for me and a gift that I can give my mother, and for that, I thank you. I also want to say to those of you who are graduating today, how fortunate you are to be receiving your degree from this great university. I have had many occasions over the past decade to interact with SFU, its students, its faculty, its administrators. I have had the privilege of working with and learning from this extraordinary institution, experiencing firsthand its academic and research excellence. This is a university that has distinguished itself not only in this province and in Canada, but in this world. This is a great university. I would also like to add how fortunate I have been to forge special relationships with your current president, Dr. Michael Stevenson, and your previous president, Dr. Jack Blaney, who is also with us today. Believe me, I know from personal experience the impact these two men have had on post-secondary education in this province and this country, and I want to take this opportunity to thank them for their friendship and applaud them for the remarkable contributions they have made to universities in general and to Simon Fraser in particular. I tend to be an optimist. I think it's important to count your blessings, and I have to say that I have come by this tendency honestly. My father was the most positive person I have ever known. He had a great sense of humor and was extremely easygoing despite living in a chaotic household with 4 children. Having said that, there was one thing that would always irritate him, and that was whining. He had a low tolerance for our complaining, fighting, or angry outbursts. His constant response to any of his children when we encountered problems or conflicts was, "Use your schoolhouse. Use your schoolhouse." As a young child, I was not absolutely certain what he meant, other than I should try to figure out a different response from the one I was currently contemplating. As I grew older, I began to recognize that using your schoolhouse meant using one's brains, one's education, one's knowledge and experience to craft positive solutions. But what I have now come to appreciate is that what using your schoolhouse really means is that I have a choice. Confronted by any problem, I can choose to see the state of the world or my personal affairs in a negative light, or I can choose to apply my intellect, insight, and determination to create positive solutions. Using your schoolhouse, remaining positive when confronted with adversity. While I know this may seem counterintuitive, in today's world, I believe we need to retain a broader perspective. Thomas Friedman, in his bestseller, The World is Flat, reflects on the past decade and a half and the two dates that have powerfully shaped our lives. 11/9, the date the Berlin Wall was dismantled, and 9/11, the date that the World Trade Center was destroyed. One brought down a concrete wall and opened the windows of the world, and the other brought down a building and put up new invisible walls between people around the world. The dismantling of the Berlin Wall on 11/9 was brought about by people who dared to imagine a different, more open world, one where every human being would be free to realize his or her full potential. The attack on the World Trade Center on 9/11 was brought about by people who imagined a world of hatred and made careers of exporting fear. According to Friedman, these two dates represent the two competing forms of imagination at work in the world today. The creative imagination of 11/9 and the destructive imagination of 9/11. He then asks the critical question, how do we nurture a more hopeful, life-affirming, and tolerant imagination in ourselves and others? His answer is simple. Those of us who are fortunate enough to live in free and progressive societies have to set an example. We must retain our optimism. We cannot retreat from the world. We must use our knowledge and understanding and be the best global citizens we can be. We must use our schoolhouse. Your time here at SFU has prepared you to do just that, to be the best global citizens that you can be, to retain your optimism, to craft solutions to the problems of the world by taking action, assuming roles on the world stage and in your local community, leading by example, and developing creative rather than destructive imaginations. You have been thinking of the world. When I look out today at you, my fellow graduates, even knowing the financial and social challenges we face, I know there is hope. I see a new generation of engineers, teachers, health professionals, business leaders, artists, and scientists with the skills and the resources to challenge the world's most difficult issues. It goes without saying that I personally have no idea what any of you have been up to for the past 4 or 5 or 6 years. But I do know something about the standard of education here at SFU, one of Canada's leading universities. So I do know how well prepared you are to step up to the challenge of citizenship in this fragile world. And I hope that just as your lives have been powerfully shaped by the tragedy of 9/11, your futures will be energized by the inspiration of 11/9. I hope your futures are dedicated to tearing down walls, reconciling misunderstandings, and creating a peaceful world and a civil and sustainable society. Do that, and you will do more than make your mothers happy. You will save the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Piper.